In this video, we will present the new functionalities of the finite element meshing tool in SAFI 3D. You can access these new functionalities, which are accessible from the drop-down menu of the Mesh Contour button on the top of the interface. These new functionalities are also accessible in the bottom of the Mesh Contour perimeter menu. Let's start by generating an example of finite element mesh. The first functionalities are the creation of the mesh refinement area. These zones are created within a mesh contour perimeter and will be connected to the rest of the mesh. The second functionality is the creation of the opening. The third functionality is the creation of the linear constraint, such as the wall. And finally, the creation of the punctual constraint, such as a support. Let's start with a short example, like in the original version of the automated meshing tool. First, we need to create the contour of the meshing area. Once the perimeter has been drawn, it is possible to select the type of plates that will be added to the mesh contour. In this example, two types of plates are already defined, one of 250 mm in width and another 400 mm in width, both made of 30 MPa concrete. Let's set the main contour with the 250 mm element plates and set the plate size to 700 mm. Then, let's define the new refinement area to the mesh by selecting the rectangular shape tool. Let's set the length to 3500 mm, the height to 4000 mm, and the plate type to 400 mm in width elements. Let's also change the plate size to 400 mm. Once all the parameters are set, let's place two of these shapes on the model. Now we can go ahead and start the generation. We can now see that the mesh generations are linked even if the mesh size is not the same. It is now much faster to complete the details of the finite element mesh. Let's continue with another example. We will place a circular opening of 6000 mm radius inside the mesh contour. Along with the rectangular and circular preset shape, it is also possible to draw a polyline shape. So, any type of shapes can be added. Now let's do a small example with the concrete slab. In this example, we will generate several square drop panels of 1200 mm for the sides and with a plate size of 300 mm. 4 will be placed in the top portion and the other remaining 4 will be in the bottom portion. Once the drop panels are in place, we will set up an opening. Let's also place the linear constraint that will represent an elevator shaft in the center of the slab. We can now generate the mesh contour. During the generation of the finite element mesh adjacent to the other existing contour, the generation will now allow the automated connection of plates and joints of the two meshes. The same is true for any elements that are perpendicular to the generated mesh. Hence, the meshing is to grant more flexibility of use in an existing model.